The Stack. People, Business, Technology. With Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. Hope you're doing awesome today. Welcome to another episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. In today's episode of The Stack, we're going to dive into the chaos that comes with SaaS Sprawl. You know, with the surge of app usage, MSPs are facing more risk, more waste, and way too many rogue tools that are flying under the radar. And we want to chat about that. We're going to unpack why decentralized SaaS decisions and ungoverned access are opening the door to security and compliance nightmares, and how many MSPs can take back control. From access governance to app approval workflows and license optimization, we're going to cover it all. And also why a multi-tenant SaaS management platform like Josys might be your new best friend. Now we're going to jump in. We've got our special guest that I will bring in here. We've got Ryan Shively. How you doing today, Ryan?
I am doing fantastic, Dan. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. And, you know, like we were talking about, we're both on different sides of the U.S. You know, you should have a little bit warmer weather than me here in Michigan, you know, with you being out in L.A.,
Good.
but not always the case, right?
It's our version of cold here, which I believe means 65 and cloudy. So,
Ooh,
yep.
I will take 65 and cloudy with you know, our 40 and cloudy today. So I am a little envious.
Yeah, we get soft here when you move to the West Coast. So, I know most people are envious of our weather, but to us this is freezing. So,
So do you guys, I mean, are you guys wearing winter jackets this time of the year? I have to ask.
not winter jackets, but I did just get back from a trip from Seattle where the feels like temperature hit 42, 43 a couple times, and I did not have the attire for it. I
No.
basically have my light jackets, and then I have my snow gear for the two times I ever go to snow,
Yeah,
and the in between really was not prepared for that weather. So,
gotcha. Well, we all choose to live where we live, and you know, I mean, some of us make bad decisions, like living in Michigan, which is beautiful during the summer, but not so great this time of year. So,
uh,
but
I
you
thank
know,
my grandparents on that one for moving west a long, long, long time ago. So
yeah,
they helped that cause a little bit there.
indeed, and so as we jump into our topic, you know, as we were prepping for this call, you know, you know, I was throwing out, you know, there's a song that from the '80s that was, you know, signs everywhere there's signs, and you know, I kind of correlated it to, you know, SaaS everywhere there's SaaS, and you know, I think we're living in an age, whether it's something that you know, is shadow IT related, or just the fact that people are, you know, seeking out different tools. There are tons of SaaS applications out there, and often an MSP in often the management and the leadership team within a client organization aren't aware of these tools that are out there, right? And that
Mhm.
becomes a problem.
Yeah, I mean, almost every day, I get on the phone with folks that are, telling me stories about how, someone went and requested access to IT for software that they had no idea existed, or
Yeah.
finance comes to them and asks, "Why are we spending money on this?" And that they had no clue that this was even a tool that was on the radar. So a lot of challenges that have kind of come from SaaS just being unbelievably easy to procure. A lot of great things about it. Makes businesses able to be agile and solve kind of problems really quickly with acquiring software. But the chaos of managing it is really catching up with a lot of organizations today.
Yeah, and there, you know, incredible, you know, risk associated with that for organizations. You know, just from a compliance perspective, we're also looking at, you know, possible cost waste, because, you know, a lot of times I think, you know, we take a look at, just let's just say 365 as an example. I mean, there's so Microsoft 365, there are so many tools available, And sometimes, you run into an organization and, you see them using Dropbox, or you see them using, some type of, other application that, is already available within 365 where they could save money. And I mean, that can become a nightmare from that angle.
Perfect use case. That's I would say double use case. One from a cost thing, redundancy, using tools that can already be solved by tools you have within the stack today. The other thing is, you've got your own tools that you have for document storage and things like that. You don't want people procuring other tools on an individual contract where you don't have the same legal agreements that you would have with a more enterprise vendor, especially for
Yeah.
things that you're putting company documents and things like that in. So a lot of different areas where that piece hits home for folks. You purchase these enterprise-wide tools for a reason, to enable your team to functionally use these for their business, but also for the protections you have with those enterprise agreements you have with those vendors that you don't have when people are using stuff on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I mean, you take a look at end users that are, signing up for this application or that application. And, maybe they're throwing some company data out there that team member, that end user leaves the organization, and there's corporate data out there that nobody has a clue that's out there. And, maybe that particular vendor is breached. And then all of a sudden, we're taking a look at, an incident that, is putting the organization at severe risk.
Yeah, absolutely. We hear it quite a bit. I was talking to someone the other day that's had a marketing leader leave the company and had no idea that they had bought, procured, and owned the tool that 5 or 6 people on the team were using. Nobody else was an admin. The company went through
Hmm.
a crazy process of trying to go back and get control of that application now. So yeah, those are great examples of the risks. AI tools all over the place. A lot of companies are trying to figure out what's their exposure to these tools. I had an organization, the other day come to me saying one of their biggest fears is they don't want people using unapproved AI tools that could potentially be taking the
Yeah.
data they're putting in. So a lot of new risks that are coming with the rise of AI tools that companies are trying to effectively navigate today.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk a bit about the management of SaaS apps. Tell me, what an MSP typically does on a daily basis to manage each of their clients' SaaS applications today.
Yes, I mean, this definitely varies from MSP to MSP. About 40% of MSPs today manage 2 to 5 very core, the Microsoft level key applications for their clients. And at a core level, they're usually responsible for managing kind of access and permissions for their clients' key applications to help them operate effectively. However, about 50% or so of MSPs manage a lot more than that, anywhere from 6 to 50 applications. And from there, there's a lot more value that can be added by the MSP from an efficiency standpoint, protecting them from risk, identifying areas of waste, in a lot of cases, just being a consultant on IT matters. And some MSPs even recommend and procure new software for their clients. So, the responsibilities can be wide ranging, by MSP and by client. At a core, they're usually responsible for those key Microsoft level size applications. But from there's a lot of value that MSPs can provide out there, and we're looking to help MSPs, help them provide even more value for their clients to drive more value opportunities, as well as help them acquire new clients.
Excellent. And when we take a look at SaaS Sprawl, what are some of the security implications that an MSP should be conscientious of?
So SaaS Pro creates I'd say a lot of areas of risk. The reality is you can't manage the risk of software that's you're unaware of, that you didn't know was out there.
Right.
Companies today have less than 50% visibility at best in the applications being used at their organization. So that's
Wow.
kind of first and foremost the biggest challenge. And as you know, and everyone knows, cybersecurity is a big risk today. Sophos reported that for the 5-figure $1 million revenue companies, like the $10 to $50 million companies, on average, a cost of a ransomware attack is $1.5 million. Not
Yep.
to mention the brand damage if it becomes public, the loss of trust amongst customers. So it's a big deal to know the complete picture of your software environment so you can protect it. So that's the biggest thing today is you got to know what's out there so you can assess your risk appropriately.
Yeah, and I think when we take a look at this, I don't think end users are, going out there and saying, I'm going to do something that's going to cause havoc within the organization. They just want to
No.
do their job better, right? And I think the educational component of it is so critical because number one, if we as MSPs don't know what tools are being used out there, that's a problem, but more
Yep.
importantly, if the end users don't know what tools are currently available to them, then that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's, you say on the end user side, in a sense, they have
Yeah.
a project management tool or different things that they've liked in their career in the past, and they get to a new company. They don't know what solutions necessarily these organizations have to help solve these things, and they just go back to their default. I like this tool. I'm going to go get my free version of Canva or Notion or use my AI tool that I like.
Yeah.
Innocent. They're not doing anything on purpose, but there's risk out there that they just don't know about. That IT just needs to understand what they're doing.
Exactly. So when we take a look at specifically Josys in your organization and how an MSP can leverage what you guys have available, how does Josys discover SaaS apps being used in an organization?
Yeah, so we use multiple approaches. We start by ingesting audit logs from an end client's IDP, whether that's Google Workspace or M365. We'll also pull in single sign-on data to get usage from those areas. But on top of that, we'll push out browser extensions to all of their users' browsers that is designed to pick up when any SaaS-based software applications are being used. A big thing for us is we are purely focused on picking up potential software applications. We're not looking to spy on folks, catch when they're using ESPN or shopping apps and things like that. It's purely primarily focused on, hey, what are the business related software applications that are out there that helps you assess your risk. So those sources combined gets us a really clear picture on software usage throughout a company, enables them to categorize these, label them to better manage what software they deem to be approved software, unapproved software, as well as software that they want to review and investigate further. And we have tools within our platform to help them investigate what people are actually doing with these applications once they pick up that usage to begin with.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's so critical because trying to do that in any kind of manual process would be impossible. Not only within one organization, but from a multi-tenant perspective as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, just the manual effort of doing that is brutal. I've run into some folks where they're on a 6-month project to identify what SaaS is out there, and I mean,
Yeah,
it's insane. They're setting up individual meetings with department heads to go ask them what their software usage is. Uh, a lot of times they don't even know all of it, or they only maybe count the ones that they're spending money on, and it's just completely inaccurate. Again, not to their fault, but they're just remembering maybe the ones they're using on a daily
yeah,
basis. And then it's also outdated. We're talking about months to go do this process. You know how easy it is to procure new SaaS tools and get your things up and running, especially on the free side for things. After like a month, they're already missing the next 10% of new things that are out there they didn't ask for before.
yeah. And I can only imagine too. By the time that they pull that report together, in that manual process, I mean, the second that report is finalized, it could already be outdated as quick as that.
Yep, it's outdated, and it just requires so much manual effort to upkeep. Someone's got to go in every week when they find out new stuff that's out there or changes and update that process. And it's just not really feasible for a company, especially once you get of any real a substantial size, to be able to actually do that manually with a level of accuracy.
Yeah. One as we're talking about this, I'm just thinking through, some of the use cases from a perspective of, obviously like for existing clients, right? So let's say you don't have this in place. I can completely understand where, you put this in place, you identify what SaaS apps are being used out there, and then, you do any kind of, discussion based on that. But how about, the onboarding process, but also let's talk pre-sales. Are you seeing this used in a pre-sale fashion, in identifying strengths and weaknesses in an organization prior to them becoming a client?
Yeah, absolutely. We run kind of almost what we call like a SaaS audit process for folks
Hmm.
to get them essentially understanding like what is the scope of the SaaS at their organization. It's pretty easy for us to get up and running within Josys that really identifies the scope of the problem. So we'll do that to essentially enable customers to see customers and MSPs as well for their clients. To see where there's kind of knowledge gaps in what they thought they had compared to what they do have. Almost every time we'll do one of these SaaS audits, people will find users that have access to software that shouldn't, people that have admin credentials for things that shouldn't, an old contractor that is still in their CRM that they haven't been working with for 6 months or a year. And it
Mm,
really just helps them visualize the types of kind of risks and problems that not knowing about their or not having visibility into their SaaS environment provides. And so we'll do that in most engagements. Is we'll do essentially a small SaaS audit that we can do with Joseph pretty quickly to help them identify the scope of what their environment looks like.
okay. So of course we can't, have a podcast without bringing up the term AI, because,
Nope, nope. Podcast. You
it's
can't go through a dinner without AI coming up. So
right, exactly. So when we think about AI and automation, how are you guys using both of those to help MSPs in the process of creating efficiencies and increasing efficiencies?
yeah, it's all about taking away those manual processes, the always yes, the always no processes. So, for example, we're have workflow automations, built out that you can create where you can create a set of like almost if then statements. If someone doesn't use software in 60 days, they automatically get sent a survey questionnaire asking if they still need access to this software. If they don't
Mm,
respond to that, they can automatically get removed. So you can create policies at your company of, hey, if you don't use software, you don't get to keep that paid license anymore.
right.
Kind of set it and forget it. Other tasks of utilizing Joseph, we're developing contract ingestion kind of process through AI to automatically get all the relevant contract details within our platform. Right now we're providing incredible insights into how your software is being used, but now if we can take the manual effort and automate all of the relevant contract details you'd want to compare that to, what license types you have, when your contract expires, who owns the applications, how much spend there is, to help you get that not just inside picture, but hey, like how much money are we really wasting on this software with all of these 40 users not using this.
Right.
Um, so those are great ways of using AI, and some things that we've got planned for the future that are, pretty exciting. Think about things like using AI to help MSPs create like suggested application portfolios for people based on their roles and apps. So we'll be integrated with the company system. We'll see that I'm based in California. I'm on HR. I go look at all the other people that have similar profiles to those attributes at my level, and we'll be able to create almost like a custom suggested application profile for someone in that role. So if a new person comes in to that team, we've already got this suggested profile of applications they should have that the MSP directly through Joseph can go put right into the onboarding process for them. So a ton of different ways that we're currently using AI today and exploring using AI to really take away the manual processes
Yeah.
that come when it comes to managing access to the software environment.
Well, what you mentioned as far as, those if then statements, and if it hasn't been used in so many days, is pretty intriguing because,
Yeah.
as you were bringing that up, I think about, and I'll readily admit, how many times I've gone out looking for a different tool that I want to use on a project,
and, I'll sign up for an account, and whether it's paid or it's free, I think the risks are the same. Obviously, if it's paid, there's more financial risks associated with it.
Mhm.
But you go try something out and you realize, you know what, this is not going to do what I needed to do, and then you move on. You don't cancel that account, and then you've
Yeah.
got that account out there, and maybe you've incorporated and imported some data into it. Maybe you didn't, but you just don't know. And without having that visibility, at the end of the day, it's out of sight, out of mind. And
Yep.
that's
I mean,
huge.
I think everyone listening to this has probably had this personally happen to them, where some sort of renewal-based maybe TV service or thing that they haven't used in
Right.
months, all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, how much did we spend on Hulu plus Extra plus, on there that they
Yeah.
haven't used in a few months. So it happens in people's personal lives when it's just them. It
Oh yeah.
absolutely happens on the corporate level for sure. So
Yeah. Oh, I'll be the first to admit that too, even at the personal level. I mean, I was recently doing that, going through and just taking a look at some of those monthly expenses. And I said to my wife, I'm like, hey, what is this? What is this? What is this? And she's like, oh yeah, something I signed up for a while ago. And I'm like, you realize we're paying like $50 a month for that, right? And she's like, oh no, I didn't. And it's stuff, at a personal level, it's easy to slip through the cracks, but certainly, at a corporate level, depending on the size of the organization too, I mean, if someone in finance just thinks, well, it's a legit app, I'm sure, that's something that they need and use. And then you come to find out it's just money being thrown out the window.
yep. It's also just not their main job to go focus on these things. So it's usually, something that kind of ad hoc they'll go look into, and just by doing that, you're missing, multiple opportunities to catch it earlier where you could save money, reduce risk on areas like that. So
Yeah.
uh, we're really trying to make it simplify the process to help people manage these things so they don't have to go out of their way and stop the activities they want to be doing within their organization to try to prevent these issues.
So my next question, I know we have answered a little bit of this, but I want to maybe dive a little bit deeper, if you could. How can MSPs use Josys as a value driver with their clients in creating monetization opportunities?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked with a lot of MSPs to help them offer new areas of value to their clients that they can monetize. We can provide you know first and foremost helping their clients get that full visibility. So showing comparing what they think they have today to using Joseph to show them full visibility is huge. Almost every client is impressed with that, sees value in that. They can talk with their clients about how they can mitigate risk through that visibility, finding risky applications, identifying unauthorized users that have accessed their core applications. The cost savings piece, basically every company on the planet is going to be intrigued by that piece. They can come in and get Josys enabled for a client or two and show where there's direct cost savings opportunities they can bring back into their business within 45 minutes. I don't know anyone who's not going to be interested in that. So
Yeah.
from a commercial standpoint, obviously MSPs do different models. They can roll this into their existing cost structure, or, separately resell this through a reseller model. But what they're really bringing in is providing their clients with better visibility, reducing their risk, and identifying cost savings opportunities that are ways that they can add value to their clients from what they're doing today.
Excellent. And so as we begin to wrap things up here, I want to learn a bit more as far as how any of our audience can check you guys out and you know kind of kick the tires and see how it can help them.
Yeah, I mean, we offer a trial period. Go to josys.com. Got the banner right there below. Didn't know
Yeah.
that one was coming. But you can go to josys.com. You can sign up for a trial or a demo on the websites. You'll be able to try this out with a couple of clients and see the value for yourselves. Get a full demo of the experience, and we'll be there to help you out along the way. It's a guided trial experience where we'll train you up, show you how to use the platform, show you to get on board, and also give you the tools that you can use to show you how to drive value to your clients as well.
That's great. And I think, when we talk about
how we differentiate an MSP from, any of the competition out there, it all comes down to the business outcome. And I truly believe that what you guys are providing can help in that area. Because it's not what we do on a daily basis, but it's what we do for them that makes the big difference. And if we can identify risk, if we can look at cost savings, and also just allow them to be more efficient and more productive with what they're doing, leveraging tools that they may already have in place, can make or break and make a huge difference. I do know that you guys have some new things upcoming. You guys are going to be launching a new SaaS management scorecard. Can you give us a little detail on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be an incredible thing, especially for MSPs really easily being able to show value to their clients. We're launching a SaaS management scorecard, which essentially is going to provide a lot of the insights that we've been talking about. Risk insights, cost optimization insights, visibility insights, directly in almost a scorecard format that everyone's very comfortable and used to kind of seeing in their everyday experience. That's going to provide action-based recommendations for where they can improve their SaaS governance and their efficiency. So almost like once enabled, it can be like a cheat sheet of where could we provide the most value the quickest, where do we have the biggest opportunities for value gain that they can set up within their clients. That really just makes that value conversation so much easier.
Perfect. And for anybody out there listening, check out josys.com. Of course, you can also, if you're on the everythingmsp.com website, you can look up Josys. We have a good amount of information on our site as well, and you can reach out to them right from there. With that being said, Ryan, I want to thank you for your time. Greatly appreciate it. And any parting words for our audience as we head out?
If you liked what you heard, go to the demo and sign up. You'll likely get to talk to me even more. So
there you go.
I'll be the one handling a lot of those additional calls, as well as some other members of our team. So would love to meet you all and share, how Josys can provide value, not just for you, but for your clients.
Perfect. And again, Ryan, thank you. And everybody listening, thank you. And until next time, we will talk to you soon. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.